This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we are going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified series, Alison R. Hart-Bernett, codename Lady Jaye figure. I have for you both the retro card back, which was a Walmart exclusive, and the initial classified release of her to go over. We will start with our retro card back version. Of course, again, these were the Walmart exclusives, so pretty much everyone you saw was in really awful condition because Walmart packs them like a group of monkeys that don't know what they're doing. Also, unfortunately, the retro card backing is just like a thin, terrible cardboard. So if you ordered it, unless they shipped it in the box that the figures were sent in the first place, you were almost guaranteed to have a damaged one. And as probably a lot of you know, they also had this tendency of sending the figures out in plastic envelopes. Not even padded plastic envelopes, just plastic envelopes. We take a look at the back of the box and we get some information on her. Hart-Burnett, Alison R. Role, covert operations, meaning she works as a spy. Primary specialty, intelligence, again, spy. Secondary specialty, personnel clerk. Not sure why you'd be a personnel clerk as your secondary if your main focus is being a spy. And she was born in Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. An accomplished actress and mime, as well as studied linguist, she can easily pass as a native in many countries around the world. I don't know, the way they phrase that, an accomplished actress and mime as well as studied linguist, that's a terrible, terrible bit of grammar. Probably should have just been an accomplished actress, mime, and a studied linguist would have been a much better way to phrase that. Let's go ahead and open her up. Of course, she comes with one of my favorite things in the world. It's a stand that has 2 pegs in it. Oh, she bald. So, when they first put out Lady Jaye for the classified series, they actually gave her 2 sets of hair rather than 2 heads because they wanted to give us both the toy version with the baseball cap and more of the cartoon version where you just see her hair. And of course, it's cheaper to create the second hair rather than create a second head. Let's go ahead and get our equipment out. So let's start off with, we have her backpack. This is based, I believe, on the retro toy. Unfortunately, I don't have a vintage one to compare it to. The peg hole here is actually pretty small. I think most of the G.I. Joe classified pegs for the backpacks tend to be like twice as long as that. But at least it fits on her well enough. We get her spear. Because, you know, when you're fighting a terrorist organization, you want to use spears. The spearhead does come off, so we have this little head here. And we have a secondary gimmicky head, like Green Arrow's different arrowheads or Hawkeye's different arrowheads. However, we have no explanation as to what this is actually supposed to do, so your guess is as good as mine. She has a dagger. It's actually one of the smaller knives that I've seen actually in the classified series. But that will fit in her utility belt sheath. And it's a good fit, actually. I've found lately that a lot of the knives that I've been getting with figures tend to slip out easily. She comes with an old-timey camcorder. I'm assuming this is supposed to be part of her spy gear so she can record the stuff that she's seeing. But again, this was back from the 80s where they had the large cameras and not just like the little button camera that you could wear now today. An interesting bit here is actually her spear throwing gun. So the spear would fit in here, and apparently she could pull the trigger and launch it. And I believe that is how they did the weapon in the original Vintage series. It was just a spear on a gun, and it did not come loose like it does here. Unfortunately, we've got the stress marks on the spear handle, which, to be honest, I think I put those in there myself when I was trying to get it out of the package. Let's go back to the normal looking spearhead. I'm guessing maybe this is some kind of grappling hook kind of a thing, but who knows. She can, of course, hold her spear gun like so. And she does not want to stay on her stand. Also, she can just hold the spear like a spear. If you want, you can have her throw it like a javelin. Boom. And of course, she can hold her dagger. I'm gonna gut you! Sorry. Yeah, overall, it's not a bad figure, and going along with a lot of the modern toy lines lately, she doesn't really have boobs. Even though her top is actually more of a cleavage-bearing top. And this has been a pet peeve of mine over the last few years with a lot of the female figures being put out by the more mainstream toy companies. They just don't want to put breasts on the female characters anymore. We'll set her aside. And we will bring out our regular classified series version. You know, one of the things I like about the retro card back versions of these figures is that they do have that informational card on the back still. So our standard classified version of Lady Jaye comes with a darker deco than the vintage cardback one. The belt is the same. I mean, overall, actually, the main bulk of the body is exactly the same, although more details here. To be honest, I prefer the coloring on the modern one compared to the retro one. I think the darker color probably matches better too with the animated look of her. Here she has a spear throwing logo, I guess is what that's supposed to be. And I'm not really sure what that logo is supposed to be exactly. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the figure here. Since they are the same body, the articulation will be the same on them. She, of course, has the hair that falls off. But she's got a ball joint in her head, allowing you to spin around, and of course, the little hinge. Also, the neck has a small hinge under or ball joint, I think, at the bottom of it, too. So you get kind of an interesting range of motion with a lot of the G.I. Joe classified figures. Her arms go up, down, and all around. She's got a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which is nice because one of the things I've noticed in a lot of the series is that even when they give the male figures a double jointed elbow, they don't always give the females that as well. So this is kind of nice. She's got the, well, she's got the drop down hips, but this one does not want to move very much. I think I might need to heat this figure up in order to unlock the articulation. But, oh gosh, it sounds like it's going to break, to be honest. She can kick up. You know what? I'm going to go with this figure for the moment. All right. So she can, no, she's really tight too. Kick up, back, thigh cut, double jointed knee. We have a boot cut. And we have some up and down, front and back, and a little bit of a spinny on the ankles here. So you too can make your figure look like she has twisted her ankle. There is, of course, the ab crunch area, which is on a ball joint, giving you a little bit more room for articulation or posing. And she's got the joint at the waist. Again, another ball joint. Let's take a look at their faces. So, skin tone's about the same. They gave her brighter lips on the retro version, plus a little bit more of a blush to her. There is some coloring on her cheeks, but it doesn't really stand out. It also looks like she's wearing more eye makeup on the retro version too, because you can kind of see more of a eyeliner and shadow around her eyes. And here, her expression's just kind of derpy. Now, if you want, you can swap out her hair with the vintage one. Honestly, she looks pretty good like that. The skin tones, I wonder if they match up enough to... Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to end up swapping heads on her, to be honest with you, because I do like the retro head better than the modern one. But let's finish talking about these things before we go too far. Although she comes with the same hat, maybe, actually. This is kind of interesting looking at that. Okay, so the hair pieces look pretty much the same. And at first I thought that the logo was the only difference here, but it actually feels like, or looks like there's actually embossed on that logo there. Let me feel this. No, I guess it's not. They did a really good job of making it look like this has got some depth to it then, because I thought for sure that I started to think that that was a new hat just because it looks like, I don't know if you can see it very well on here, but it really does look like there's a dual layer here on the the symbol on her hat. So the equipment that Lady Jaye comes with. Actually, here's something else to note too. Her feet have the pegs up by the toes and not on the heels like most of the other figures did. Does she have the same? Like, it's even different from her retro version. So they actually gave us new feet when they did the retro version. And again, the toes are, or the pegs are back by her heel like standard figures, and they're up front on this one. That's kind of an interesting choice to have made. I'm going to go ahead and stick her on a extra stand. All right, so let's take a look at her equipment. So she comes with 2 spears, or at least the sticks for the spears, as well as 3 spearheads. Regular spearheads, and then the one that we have no idea what it's supposed to be. I wonder if this is a throwback to the vintage figure. I don't really... I'd have to look that up sometime. But they can, of course, be stuck onto the spear. And because she's got 2 grippy hands, unlike a lot of the Masters of the Universe figures, she can hold them both. She does come with the spear thrower. So she can get down and get dirty with the cobras. She has a rather interesting backpack. I don't know what exactly this is supposed to be. Perhaps it's meant to be a camera, but it's got a lot of articulation on it. It's probably a camera. But you know, as far as covert action goes, I think people are going to notice that. The interesting thing about her backpack in this version is that she actually can hold the spearheads and a spear. So we can fit one spearhead in there like that. And it is designed to hold the pointy spearhead and the weird retro one. And then you can put the extra spear in there as well. And actually, she's got the little belt here. So you want to go ahead and stick it through the hole in the belt and the hole in her back. And let's not forget her knife. So unfortunately, unlike the retro version, is not painted. I should probably put the right head on her for review purposes. Oh, man. That little bit of like front hair there just does not want to cooperate on this one. There we go. One thing though that I have noticed, which is kind of an irritation for me with these hair parts, is that they didn't really make them compatible with the other figures. Because I have tried swapping hair with Lady Jaye and Zorana, and it doesn't fit because the ears are in a different position. This is one of the things that kind of drives me crazy with what Hasbro does with a lot of their figures, is there's not as much compatibility and swappability as there should be. They do make the heads so that you can remove them and swap them out, but the head pegs are just different on so many of the different figures. And when you consider that you've got, like, in the 6-inch lines, you have G.I. Joe, you have Star Wars Series Black, You have the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. There's a lot of swappability that could be done that would even possibly allow them to sell more figures because, Lady Jaye's got a fairly basic look to her. You could have bought a bunch of Lady Jays and then swapped a bunch of heads with her and had a whole like group of just army recruits there. Hey, Lady J. Yeah, Tunnel Rat, what would you like? I was just kind of wondering. Don't do it, Tunnel Rat. Don't do it. Don't do it. I, huh? No, don't do it. I was wondering if you'd like to maybe go see a movie with me or something sometime. Well, Tunnel Rat, you're nice and all, but I kind of like taller guys, and to be honest with you, just what do you think you're doing? I think my boyfriend would be a little upset if I went out with somebody else. Oh, hi, Flint. I was just talking to. I know what you were doing, Tunnel Rat, and I just gotta say, I don't like it. I'm really sorry, Flint. I will leave you alone. You didn't have to be so mean for it to him. Oh, please, you know you like it. Well, that is true. I like it when you're all macho. Anyway, so like I said, I think what I'm going to end up doing is I do like the look of the darker colors on her. So I will probably swap out the heads and just use the regular hair with that head and use that as ultimately my Lady J for display. Anyway, please feel free to like, comment, and share. Peace and love.